is Alex. Welcome back to another Drummer Artificer Studios. Today, we are going to build something from a universe that is near and dear to the history of my heart. With it being May the 4th, we're going to build something from a galaxy far, far away. But specifically, we're going to build something from its newest installation, the Mandalorian. So let's get started. So as I said, we're building something from the Mandalorian. Specifically, we are going to build Mando's blaster pistol, the sidearm that he carries. To do that, I am using templates that I picked up from DFT, Andrew DFT. He has a very good channel where he builds primarily prop guns of some form, most of them from video games. But he is doing a special thing for the month where he is every week giving out 6 free templates. So one of the ones that he has just given out happens to be Mando's blaster. So I'm using his templates to get the design for this. I'm then going to be comparing it to photos I have of a nearly screen-accurate replica prop. I have taken his templates and printed them out, but these are at 85% scale. So if you want to try and make one around the same size mine's going to turn out to be, print them at 85%. So my first step, I've got 2 copies here. My first step is going to be to cut one copy of the template out and have it all taped together, and that's what I'll use to get my base shape for the first sections of foam. If you are interested in following along with this or trying to build one yourself at some point, I will include the link to Andrew's video where he has all of these templates in the description of this video. Okay, and there is our blaster design. My first step in making this is going to be to have this main part of the body here is going to be built out of a 10mm EVA foam. It is going to be foam that I picked up from SKS Cosplay. And then the barrel is going to be made out of some 1/2-inch PVC. I'm going to attempt to do the opening of the barrel using a few different couplers that I'll shape and sand to try and get the tapered effect for the end of the barrel. So I'm going to start by marking where that is. So now when I apply my contact cement, it will only be on that portion. I'm going to wrap some sandpaper around my PVC pipe. And I'm going to sand right here on both of them because I can't really access that once I get the pieces glued together. So now it's time to apply my contact cement. I've started using this brush pot. I see a lot of cosplayers and prop makers will use the Teflon square pot that the handle comes out the center. I've started using this, which I'm very, very pleased with. It's actually designed for leather workers and shoemakers. You fill up the pot, and it's a gravity assist that it only puts a small amount in the cup when you tip it over. So it limits the amount of cement that's exposed to the air each time. And when you store it, you tip it up, so the brush is not sitting in the contact cement the entire time it's being stored. And when the cap goes on, it creates an airtight seal, so it lasts a very long time. But I'm really liking it because it drastically minimizes the amount of the fumes that comes off of the contact cement. So I'm making sure when I press these together to put enough force to keep the 10mm foam flat. So now that I have the first layer on, I'm going to come back in, trim it all off, and now I'll have a guide to be able to put the second layer onto the other side. Okay, so I now have the main body built out. It might have a slight warp into it this way, but that will get taken care of once the barrel is put in place. So before I do anything else, I need to clean this up. And I'm going to do that using a sanding stick. I picked this one up a little bit ago on Amazon, and what I like about it is that you can change out the grit sandpaper you're using. It's just a wedge shape with a strip of sandpaper on the side of it. This HD foam is nice enough that this is pretty much all I'm going to need to do most of this sanding and refining. For some of the more precise shaping, I did switch over to using my rotary tool with a sanding drum. Though it wasn't in the show, I did come in with the sanding drum to shape around the trigger, and this was just to make it more comfortable when I held it. I used a smaller sanding drum to add the channel running down the left side of the blaster, as well as the channel for the barrel. Like the body, the slide was made from one layer of 10mm foam and 2 layers of 6mm foam. I used an orbital sander to shape the coupling to use as the barrel nozzle. I then smoothed it out with files and sandpaper. I used contact cement to attach the barrel, making sure to seat the end into the body before pressing down towards the muzzle. The slide was then glued on the same way as the barrel. The grips I decided to make out of some 3/4 inch plywood I had. I cut them out with my jigsaw and then shaped them with the orbital sander and refined them with the rotary tool. The detail pieces on this I cut out of both 1mm and 6mm foam. I used 1mm foam to create the knurling that is on the front of the barrel on the right hand side. Another piece of 1mm foam was used as a spacer so they were evenly spaced. Once all the details were added, I used Mod Podge to seal the foam and prep the entire blaster for painting. So I've gone through, I hit it with a body filler primer after I got the Mod Podge on, and I used a satin black over the entire thing. I then masked this off and used a silver on it, so it's now time to completely unmask so we can see what it's going to look like. So there's the painted gun. I'll still have to come through and weather it. And the weathering will hide some of these issues I had with what I'm presuming to be the clear coat. But with all the weathering and everything, that will actually kind of aid to the age of the gun. I've taken the wooden grips I did and I finished them by burning it, sanding it, and then hitting it with 3 or 4 coats of a gloss clear coat. And those will get put right on there. Before I glue those on, I have to do some touch-up painting where I had the handle masked. But that essentially right there is what our Mando blaster is going to look like. For all of the weathering on this one, I decided to use a silver Sharpie. And I tried to focus on the edges of the blaster where it would get the most wear from it being used. So there you go. That's how we made our Mandalorian sidearm blaster. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching along with this. Maybe some of you will give it a try. The template for building this is going to be down in the description. Enjoy the rest of your day. May the Force be with you. See you next time.